Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to welcome you to the Center for Emotional Intelligence Speaker Series. This series is dedicated to exploring the latest research, insights, and practices for cultivating emotional intelligence in our personal and professional lives. As part of this initiative, we are thrilled to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Richard Dewey, an expert in the transformative power of mindfulness and meditation. With a deep understanding of the human experience, and I can attest to that, Richard will share insights on how meditation can significantly enhance emotional intelligence by increasing self awareness, emotional regulation, and an overall well being. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Richard Dewey. Richard, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Sana. Very much appreciate that. And I'm delighted to be here and looking forward very much to going through this. And I expect a lot of people will get a pretty good idea of the kind of things that I do with humanist meditation and with meditation in general, mindfulness and so forth. And looking forward to getting questions and answers. Let's see where we go from here. So I'll go ahead and start sharing my slides. All right. So this is a presentation about humanist meditation. And like I said, I'm very excited. I'm very pleased that Sana invited me to do this, and kind of had an exciting week this week trying to put these slides together and try to remember how to make something like this flow and point it in the direction of what we're going to be talking about today. That image that you've got there says, "Celebrate your successes, equanimity for everything else." And we will be talking a little bit about equanimity, so you have a little bit better understanding of what I mean by that. And you notice in my tagline, lower right-hand corner, it says equanimity for humanity. So talk a little bit more about that as we get there. All right, so what am I going to try to accomplish for today? I always like to start off by talking about what my goals are. Just want to make sure everybody understands this is what I hope we accomplish today. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the humanist meditation, what that's all about, and it's going to be interesting talking about that and find out a little bit more about me. We'll go through some definitions, some key terms that I want everybody to understand what those mean. And we'll also talk about some of the benefits of meditation. Looking forward to talking about what meditation can do for you and for other people as well. We're going to do, we're going to do 3 different meditations. We're going to start with a very short meditation that is going to help us to understand the concept of loving kindness. Then we'll do another mindfulness meditation, and then we'll do a mantra meditation, which I think everybody will appreciate. And there's something specific about the mantra meditation that I think you'll enjoy. I'll give some tips and tools, basically giving you some ideas on how you can make your meditation practice more effective for you. And then also wrap up and Q&A. Very much looking forward to this. I think we're going to have a lot of good questions. At least I hope we're having a lot of good questions. All right, so that was me a long time ago. That's a good way to meditate, but it's not necessary to meditate in that fashion. In any case, I always like to joke about that being me at one time, my previous life. In any case, starting off with history of meditation, I was 36 years in electronics engineering before I decided to teach meditation. But before my years in electronics engineering, when I got out of high school, there was a book that was published by a man named Herbert Benson, and it was called The Relaxation Response. And it was the first time that I know of, and maybe others, but that was the first time that I know of a medical doctor who was also a scientist studied the physiological effects of meditation as people were meditating, all the way back in 1975. That book got me started on meditation, and after that, I read a lot of books. I went to a lot of seminars. I brought up and found research papers, actual research papers, scientific research papers about meditation. And throughout my entire career in electronics engineering, I practiced a lot of meditation. I came up with my own meditations, some of which I still teach today. And so there's a lot that goes into that, 36 years in electronics. Electronics engineering, I needed meditation a lot of times to help control stress and so forth. So there's a long history of that, which I can't go into a whole lot of detail, but you kind of get the idea. Electronics engineering, the last 17 years, I was designing integrated circuits for medical electronics devices. So you can imagine the transition of going from doing that to teaching meditation was pretty significant. I founded Humanist Meditation in 2019. So when I got out of electronics, I tried to figure out what am I going to do with the rest of my life. I'm not sure what I want to do. And it took some time. In fact, it took like 3 different iterations before finally settled on teaching meditation, because I've been practicing meditation all the way through my electronics career. And I also loved to teach. It was just something that I found that just really was very fulfilling to me. So I very much enjoyed teaching, and I loved meditation. So decided, hey, why not teach meditation? So I founded the business of Humanist Meditation in 2019. So you can kind of get the impression that I have not been teaching formally as a business for all that long. It's just been 6 years. So yeah. It's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey, and I've really very much enjoyed it and learned a lot along the way. As Sana can tell you, I switched over to Zoom during COVID and pretty much had to do that. And it turned out to be a very good thing, even though obviously COVID was not a good thing. But being able to reach out to people all around the world on Zoom was quite an eye-opener for me. I really, really enjoy teaching and finding out that I can actually teach people from other countries, which is something that I have done and quite a bit of. I actually really very much appreciate that and enjoy that very much. So switching over to Zoom turned out to be a good thing. I would probably, if it wasn't for COVID, I may never have done that. And that's quite a bit opened up my world, so to speak. And then I started working with medical community. In 2023, I was approached by a pain specialist doctor in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he was saying he thought that I could work a meditation practice that would really help people with chronic pain. And there's been quite a bit of studies on that. And we worked out a particular flow for that. And we were able to actually do some serious benefits for people that have chronic pain. They're just constantly suffering from pain. And it turns out that meditation does do something for that. We'll talk about that more later. But bottom line is that was a wonderful feeling to know that I could help people with chronic pain. And then I also started working with another doctor who's a trauma specialist. So people that have had some kind of an emotional trauma of some kind. And I was actually pretty amazed at the positive effects for people that have been through trauma. It was amazing to me that it actually worked as well as it did. So that really more validated what it is that I do, that it actually works, and it works for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I did have one individual. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it kind of frightened me a little bit. He came in one time. He had been coming for quite a while, and he said that he had let go of all other treatments for his trauma except for meditation because it was the only thing that worked for him. And my immediate alarm was, dude, I hope you're still seeing your doctor, because you need to have doctor's advice about this sort of thing. And he said, yes, I am. And I said, okay, good enough. As long as your doctor's okay with this, then we're good. So anyway, working with the medical community, like I said, it really validates what I do. I really appreciated that quite a bit, those opportunities, and I'm still doing that now. And I'm also still doing Zoom and in person. So COVID's over, been over quite a while, but right now, the way I look at it is if I have an opportunity to reach people in other states or in the United States or other countries, I would like to do that. So I do classes both in person. I have a studio in Tempe, Arizona, and I also have Zoom classes, and they're on my website, which we'll talk about at the very end. So let's just talk about the definition of meditation. There are so many different ways to define meditation. If you look it up, if you do a Google search on it, you're going to see a lot of definitions of what meditation is. This is kind of what I like to tell people. And very simply, just saying that it is a method of decluttering the mind. I think everybody here knows most people have lots of thoughts bouncing around back and forth in their heads pretty much all the time. A lot of times, if it's severe enough, we call it monkey mind. Monkey mind. You can imagine monkeys jumping around and getting all excited in your head. That's kind of like the thought flow that you get all the time. And being able to quiet that down and declutter the mind, to get some of those extraneous thoughts out, allows you to do so many good things. It's very healthy. It helps you to focus. We'll talk more about that. The main goal typically with meditation is to achieve a calm and peaceful state of mind. You notice I have an etc. there. So There are other things that you can do with meditation. You can not only achieve a calm, peaceful state of mind, but you can also do things like train yourself to do something better. Notice that athletes use this quite a bit in order to improve their performance, their athletic performance, and something specific that they want to do. They use meditation practices for that. And then there's also people overcoming fear. There's a lot of people that have overcome fear of public speaking, for instance. It really helps quite a bit with that if you are focused on that. So besides achieving a calm and peaceful state of mind, there are some other things you can do with meditation that are very beneficial. Moving on then, let's talk about equanimity. I talked about equanimity at the very beginning. This one, a lot of people want to help me to explain to people what is equanimity and why do I keep talking about that word that so many people have a hard time even saying. All right, so equanimity, and it's funny because when I was working out the business plans, this just popped into my head. It wasn't even something I went searching for. It just popped into my head. So I love talking about this. Equanimity is basically remaining calm and composed, even in difficult circumstances. That's the basic definition. But for the purposes of meditation, basically what we're talking about is acknowledging all sensory experiences, everything that you are experiencing in the moment, and doing so without judgment. That's basically what equanimity is, acknowledging sensory experiences without judgment. No matter what you're experiencing, everybody goes through all kinds of negativity all day, every day, including those things that are not what you really want to have right at that particular moment. So when we talk about acknowledging all sensory experiences without judgment, we're talking about not railing against or feelings of aversion for those things that are not consistent with your goals or your values. We don't really want you to feel any aversions or railing against those things. We want calm and without judgment, and just acknowledge it and then take positive mitigating action wherever you possibly can. That's equanimity. And the other side of that is all of us know that nothing is permanent, including the good things in our lives. And many people sense and feel stress when good things are starting to fade away or they go. And sometimes we lose people that we love very much, and that's very, very challenging. And trying to avoid clinging to or craving those things that are good in our life as they inevitably fade. So that's also a definition of equanimity. And that's kind of what we practice with meditation practice. And there's some things that I do with humanist meditation specifically for that purpose, to bring about equanimity in your meditation practice. We'll talk about that some more too. I thought I'd throw this in here, definition of humanism, because I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of ideas about what humanism is, but specifically relative to humanist meditation, the things that I'm looking for right now is what I do is evidence-based. So I look a lot at the scientific community to try to understand what do they know about meditation, what does it do, what doesn't it do, and believe me, there is a ton of stuff out there that people are claiming about meditation that is not real. It's all over the place. So you really have to be very careful about your sources of information about meditation, but there's plenty of people, Johns Hopkins University and Harvard Medical School, they've done a lot of studies. They know what kind of things that meditation actually does. So I focus on things that have some kind of evidence that's behind it. So we have plenty of scientific evidence, and that is what I focus on. That's very much a humanistic value. So when I talk about humanism, I'm talking about things that are evidence-based. What are the things that we have confidence in? Another important tenet of humanism is to live the most fulfilling life possible. One of the things that everybody that tries meditation for very long finds out that your life is definitely more fulfilling if you have a consistent practice of meditation in it. It just does. So that's part of what I do. Also trying to help people to really enjoy life. That's what I focus on with my meditation practice. And that is living the most fulfilling life you possibly can. Probably the most important thing, though, a fundamental tenet of humanism is to help to make the world the best place it can be for all of humanity. That's a really important tenet of humanism. So what I do when I teach people tools, techniques. I don't just do guided meditations and send them on their way and expect them to come back to get more. I teach them how to do it themselves. and I teach them enough information that they can go teach other people, and they can go teach other people. So we're trying to make the world a better place for everybody, helping to spread the wonderful, beautiful skill of meditation to as many people as possible. So that's very much a part of what drives me. That's very much a part of what keeps me motivated. This next sentence is the first sentence of the Humanist Manifesto 3. I just threw this in here just to kind of give you an idea a little bit about humanism. It is a 2-page document, so it's not that hard to get. Humanist Manifesto 3, Roman numeral 3. The first sentence: humanism is a progressive philosophy of life that, without supernaturalism, affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment that aspire to the greater good of humanity. That document's been around for a long time, and it's a very important document to me, and that kind of guides me in pretty much everything that I do, including my meditation practice. Now, benefits of meditation. There are many. We'll talk about stress reduction. It's kind of the obvious one, right? I mean, most everybody understands meditation is going to be a good way to reduce stress. If you do regular meditation practice, you will find your overall stress levels will drop. That is a very important benefit. And I think everybody that does meditation can see that. However, you don't necessarily have to be a stressed out person in order to benefit from meditation, which I will talk about some more. Enhanced emotional health. As I mentioned earlier, people that have had trauma, I've had a lot of people that have come to me with depression or anxiety, those kinds of things, who have really significantly benefited from my meditation practice. And that's true for pretty much anybody that practices meditation. They find that it does help them with anxiety and depression as well. And an important point, and for those that have a medical background, I'm sure you will appreciate, again, what I'm talking about here is this as an adjunct to getting professional help, right? If you have severe anxiety or you have depression of any kind whatsoever, make sure that you've got guidance from a professional, medical professional, psychological professional, and don't just count on meditation to help you with that. This is an adjunct to that. This is an addition to that. So just keep that in mind. But it does work and it does help. So talk to your doctor about that if that's something you're working on. And improved attention and concentration. The idea of decluttering the mind allows you to focus and concentrate on things without a lot of interruptions, without a lot of mental interruptions. It just really does enhance your attention and concentration so much. So it's a wonderful benefit. Pretty much anybody that does meditation for very long, they find that they can concentrate a whole lot better and stay at attention to whatever it is that they're focused on. Pain management, I mentioned that earlier, it actually works pretty well. It is not magical. There's nothing about it that's magical. It basically is telling the body, okay, so this particular area of the body is suffering from pain. It allows you to release all the tension around any area of injury, which significantly reduces the overall pain. And we've proven that. We've gotten some medical professionals here in the Valley in Arizona that have worked with me on that, and we've actually seen that work. And as I said, there's been a lot of studies on that. We know that that's a big benefit of meditation. Physical health benefits. So this one, I think we have not quite as much scientific evidence as I would like at this point, but we do know with stress reduction, we also know that we can lower blood pressure, for one thing. And if you are under less stress, and I'm sure most of you know this already, if you're under less stress, your body has more opportunity to heal from things that it needs to heal from. So reducing stress automatically is going to do that. Again, I'd like to see more scientific studies on that, so I'm kind of hesitant about saying that, but nevertheless, for me, I know that I can lower my blood pressure just by meditating. I've already done it multiple times. In the doctor's office, I go in and I'm agitated for whatever reason. They take my blood pressure and find out it's too high, and I meditate for 5 minutes and it comes back down to normal. I mean, I've done it multiple times, so I know it works for me, but that, as we all know, is not scientific evidence. So I want to see some more studies on this. But most people would say that because of the fact that it reduces stress, it automatically will improve other things physically, which is a good thing. Better situational awareness. A lot of us are mired in our thoughts all the time, especially if we have a lot of negativity in our lives or we have a lot of to-do lists or whatever. And oftentimes we will walk right past something incredibly beautiful like that flower that's on the screen that probably most of you didn't even notice. If you practice meditation regularly, you will automatically start to see things you never noticed before. Your situational awareness will be significantly enhanced. It's a common side effect of meditation, a good side effect. There are no negative side effects to meditation, only positive. And that's one of them. Being aware of the beautiful things that are all around you all the time, instead of being tangled up all the time in all the negativity that's all around us all the time. You can spend some time actually enjoying and appreciating beautiful things that you otherwise would not even have noticed, which is really good. Now, more compassion. I put 2 asterisks by that one because that one's specific to the way that you learn how to meditate. You can use meditation skills to become less compassionate. You can use meditation skills to learn how to take advantage of people more. I don't teach that. I teach people to learn how to be more compassionate toward themselves and toward other people. There's a specific style of teaching that is really important toward that end. And that's why I have those 2 asterisks there, because it kind of depends on how it's taught. There's been studies about that too. People that just do mindfulness meditation and don't add some of the things into it, the philosophy that I put into it, can actually be more selfish. So, and then of course, people can learn meditation skills to teach them or to make them more effective at doing things that we really would rather they not do. So, so there is that, and so more compassion does come out of the way that I teach. All right, so for audience participation, we're going to do a mindfulness of breath meditation. There's something specifically that I want to talk about and I want to add into mindfulness of breath meditation. But before we even do that, I want to start off by doing a short meditation on how to cultivate something that I call loving kindness. That's obviously a Buddhist term as well, but specifically what I'm looking for here is a way of giving yourself a bump of loving kindness. Give yourself a virtual hug. Give yourself a bump of oxytocin, which is that feeling of extreme affection that you feel for certain other people. You'll hear me talk about that in my meditation classes all the time. This is one of those things that is really necessary if you want to build compassion with your meditation practice, to learn how to do this. So I'm going to start with that before we actually do the mindfulness of breath. And it's very short and very easy. What I want everybody to do is close your eyes. Just go ahead and close your eyes. And take a nice deep breath. And as you let it out, just become aware of all non-essential muscles and let them relax. And now I want you to imagine that you are with the most important person in the world, somebody that you love very much, or a favorite pet, either one, doesn't matter, but somebody or something that you really have a lot of affection for. And I want you to imagine that you're showing them all the affection that you have for them right now. Allow yourself to feel that powerful surge of affection as you imagine showing them all the affection that you feel. Either somebody that you love very dearly, or a favorite pet, whatever way you would express affection to them. If you get a sense for what that feels like, that's the feeling of loving kindness that I'm referring to. When I talk about doing a bump of loving kindness, it's allowing yourself to feel a surge of that feeling. It takes some practice, imagining that you're hugging yourself or hugging a favorite pet or your most loved person in your life. Feel that surge. That's the feeling of loving kindness. Practice this. If you don't feel anything at all at this point, that's okay. Basically, when you're going through a meditation, we'll talk about that in a minute. When we're going through meditation, when I say, this is a point where you would give yourself a bump of loving kindness, you can just imagine in your mind hugging either a favorite pet or the most important person in your world. And even if it's just imagining doing that, even if you don't feel a surge of loving kindness or feel that oxytocin rush, it's at least a step in the right direction. And eventually you will. You'll end up feeling that. All right, so take a nice deep breath again. And as you let it out, slowly and comfortably open your eyes. Come back to the session. So mindfulness of breath, that is a meditation practice that's been around for a very long time. I'm sure most everybody knows that. And we're only going to do 5 minutes of this. I'm going to add in an anchor technique. I'll talk about anchors more later. I'm going to add in an anchor technique where I want you to focus on your breath, but notice every exhalation and count your exhalations. So your first one would be 1, second one would be 2, and just count up to 10, and then back down to 1, and then back up to 10, back down to 1. We're going to do this for 5 minutes. Just count your exhalations, but while you're doing that, very quiet in the back of your mind, you're counting, you're still focused very much on every aspect of your breathing that you can. Any aspect of your breathing or all aspects of your breathing. Focus on your breathing. This is try to give you a feeling for what this is like. Just focus on your breathing because it's keeping you in the present moment. It's having you focused on something that's happening in the present moment, and let yourself relax and stay relaxed. And what I mentioned earlier about loving kindness, if you find your mind drifts at all, the number one thing I want you to do is acknowledge that as soon as you can, with no judgment, with equanimity. Acknowledge it, accept it, understand it, and then as you calmly and gently bring your focus back, give yourself a bump of loving kindness, or imagine hugging the most important person in the world or your favorite pet, and then go right back into your meditation again. And if you've lost track of your count, don't worry about it. Just start back over at 1 and just keep going up to 10, back down to 1, up to 10, back down to 1. That is an anchor technique. That's something that you add into a meditation to help you stay focused. So we're going to do this for 5 minutes. And I think you'll understand, if you haven't already done this before, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. You will automatically feel much more relaxed just by doing this alone. So again, go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath, and as you let it out, again, be aware of all non-essential muscles in your body and just relax. Let those muscles relax. And I want you to go ahead and start focusing on your breathing and counting, and I'll let you know when 5 minutes is up. I'm watching the clock. Focus on your breathing, any aspect of your breathing that you can, and make sure that you're counting your exhalations like I described. Keep doing that for the remainder of the 5 minutes. Remember to practice equanimity and loving kindness. See if you can notice anything about your breathing that you've never noticed before. One minute left. Keep focusing on your breathing. Notice anything that you've never noticed before about your breathing. Okay, everybody take another nice deep breath. And as you let it out, slowly and comfortably open your eyes and come back to the session. All right, so this is a standard meditation technique, as I mentioned before, adding that anchor technique in and especially focusing on equanimity and loving kindness if you get distracted or interrupted is that's how we add in the idea of compassion, increased compassion. As you practice that loving kindness toward yourself or toward wherever it was that distracted you, as you practice that more and more and with your meditations, it carries over into the way that you just act every day in your everyday life. So it tends to make you more compassionate. And I've got several people that have come back to me and said that really was true for them. Later on, we'll talk about my website. You can see there's testimonials on my website. There's some pretty good ones in there. One of them specifically points to that, which is very, very, very validating to me to know that people are actually learning how to be more compassionate and calmer with their lives. All right, so the next thing is another audience participation. This is the only one we got left. This one is about using a mantra technique that I developed a long time ago. This one I would have to say, I don't know that there's much scientific study about using positive affirmation words in a mantra, but we do know a lot about mantras. There's been a lot of studies done on people doing mantras and what kinds of effects that has on people. And it is very, very powerful, very relaxing, really does bring about a reduction in stress and all the other benefits that I mentioned. Using positive affirmation words was my own idea. And again, these would be words that are things that you either want in your life or you want to be. So there's two different kinds of positive affirmation mantras here. One of them is, and the one we're going to be doing, is one that are the I am form, and that is words that can be used with a sentence that starts I am. And in this particular case, we're talking worthy, loved, confident, courageous. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize those words. I'll be saying them out loud for the first 30 seconds or 40 seconds or whatever of this meditation. That's the I am form. The I have form is also a good form to use. And if you wanted to use that one, you could do that. It's health, wisdom, tranquility, joy. And these are just meditations that I have come up with. I would strongly recommend that if you like this particular form, that you come up with your own positive affirmation words that really resonate with you. Words that start with a sentence that starts with I am, or words that work with a sentence that starts with I have. Either one of those two, or both. You can do one of each, but don't try to mix them because it doesn't really work too well if you mix them. And you're not actually thinking about the meaning of the words while you're saying these words. You're not thinking about the meaning of the words because going into the meditation, you already know what those words mean to you. So come up with your own words. But for today, I'm going to use the I am form, worthy, loved, confident, courageous. And I want you to just follow along with me at first when my voice fades out, because I'm going to start off loud and then I'm going to very quiet, slowly quiet my voice down. And then for the remainder of the 5 minutes, you'll do that on your own at whatever pace you want and however loudness or whatever voice you want to use in your head, it doesn't really matter. But the idea behind this, again, is to do a mantra. The mantra itself is very powerful. Using positive affirmation words, I don't know that anybody's studying that because, quite frankly, I don't know who else is even practicing this besides me. But we all know about affirmations, and we know that affirmations are good. So my suspicion is that positive affirmation words in a mantra are very, very powerful. So as I said, when we start into this, I will say the words out loud, the I am form. I'll say them out loud and my voice will fade away. And when my voice fades out, then go ahead and take over quietly in the back of your mind, just saying the words over and over in your mind, pretty much just with just the single words by themselves. You don't have to say the I am because your mind already knows that. So again, go ahead and get into your comfortable meditative posture and go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And as you let it out, again, notice all your non-essential muscles. Make sure everything is nice and relaxed. Very, very relaxed. And I'm going to go ahead and start. Just follow along what I'm saying. And as my voice fades out, go ahead and take over quiet in the back of your mind saying these words. Worthy, loved, confident, courageous. 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 Okay, go ahead and take another nice deep breath. And as you let it out, slowly, comfortably open your eyes and come back to the session. So this is a very good meditation to do. Very relaxing, and I've been practicing this for well, I think most of my adult life actually, and I've probably gone through. Now I'm on my fifth different mantra that I'm using. So you find over time the words that you chose may not be quite as meaningful anymore, and you come up with a different set of words and start working with those. Like I said, I'm on my fifth one, so this is a good one. And both these meditations we just did 5 minutes. Typically in my introductory class, we do it for 20 minutes, but usually I also have some background sounds going on at the same time. So that gives you an idea. This just gives you at least a little bit of a taste of it, and I hope that you felt something from that and felt something good about that. And if not, then reach out to me and I'll see if I can help you figure out how to make it better. All right, so let's talk about tips and tools. These are ways that you can make your meditation practice more effective. And I always like to talk about, well, how long do you need to meditate before you really find some benefit? Normally in audience participation, they'll ask the audience, well, how long do you think? Well, as it turns out, for this situation, I probably don't need to do that. I probably would just go ahead and say 20 to 30 minutes a day is enough. It really is. And if you do 20 to 30 minutes a day, you'll find some benefits very, very quickly. However, there's one more thing that's much, much more important, and that is developing the habit of doing it every single day at any amount of time, even if it's just for 30 seconds or a minute. Develop the habit of doing a meditation every day. This is a treat for you. This is self-care. And if you can't find 20 to 30 minutes in a day to do a meditation, which is something you're doing good for you, if you can't find that, then just find a minute someplace, just anywhere during the day, find a minute and do a meditation until you develop the habit so that it's just such an ingrained part of your day that you know you can't go through a day without doing at least one meditation, even if it's just for a minute, but maximum 20 to 30 minutes. You really don't need to do more than that. And you will definitely, within a few weeks, you'll feel a tremendous difference in your life if you're doing 20 to 30 minutes a day. Distractions. We talked about distractions. So when you are meditating, inevitably you will get distracted. Everybody here, starting off, is going to have thoughts popping into their head, or they're going to have barking dogs, in the yard across the way. You're going to have all kinds of distractions. Learn how to acknowledge those distractions with equanimity. When you realize that you've been distracted for any length of time, go ahead and bring your focus back. Take positive mitigating action if you have to, and then bring your focus back very calmly and gently and give yourself a bump of loving kindness. So again, imagine that you are, hugging yourself, or you're hugging the most important person in the world, or your favorite pet, whatever, just something that gives you that surge of oxytocin. And if you can't get that, just imagine doing that hug anyway. Imagine doing that anyway, and always, always do that. Every time, every kind of meditation that you do, if you get distracted or interrupted, either one, make sure that you do that process of equanimity and loving kindness. And if you're distracted by something external to you, when you feel that loving kindness, kind of direct some of those feelings toward whatever it was that distracted you. That would be a very good way to build up your compassion, as we talked about before. Prompts or cues. These are kinds of things that tell your subconscious, hey, this is time to do a meditation. You see a lot of people sitting lotus and with their hands in a certain position. That's just a prompt or a cue. That's just telling them, okay, it's meditation time. You don't have to do that. In fact, sitting in a very comfortable chair is perfectly fine. There's lots of different, ways that you can meditate. You can do that walking. Walking meditations are perfectly fine too. But do something, especially when you're first starting out, do something that says, okay, this is meditation time. That's a prompt or a cue. So you can gong a bell, you can light an incense or light a candle or something that you only do when you're getting ready to meditate. That's what a prompt or a cue is. And obviously, that's a really powerful thing to do when you're first starting out. But as you become more and more comfortable with meditation, you want to be able to go anywhere and do anything, anytime, meditate any place, anywhere, any around any people or any kind of noisy environments. And you want to have the ability to do that without any kind of prompt or cue. So you want to take something with you. If you can, tapping the back of your hand 3 times is something I tell people when you're out and about. Nobody's going to know what you're doing. And that's just a technique or telling yourself it's time to do a meditation. So prompts or cues are those kind of things that just tell you it's time to meditate. And then we have anchors. We've already done an anchor. We did that for the breathing meditation. Anchors can be employed in just about every kind of meditation that you can do. In fact, the mantra meditation, a good anchor technique, and anchor techniques are simply those things that help you to stay focused. That's all they are. They're just an added technique to help you stay focused. You don't necessarily want to be dependent on them, but they can be very, very helpful. So for the mantra meditation, you might change the voice in your mind. You might have one voice, one whispering voice, one loud voice, one normal speaking voice, different voices, anything like that. That also helps you to stay focused. And you can also time the words of your mantra with your breathing. There's lots of different ways to do anchor techniques. As we saw the breathing meditation, we did a counting technique. That helps you to stay focused. It keeps you focused in the present moment, which is really important. Lots of different ways to do anchor techniques. Timers are really good. One of the things you don't want to do if you have set aside 20 minutes to do a meditation, you don't want to be thinking about how long you've been meditating. So a timer is a really good thing to have. You can use an egg timer from a grocery store if you want, but most of us have smartphones, and there's lots of different tools out there that you can use or apps that you can use that have timers on them. I use the Insight meditation timer, but there's the Calm app. There's lots of different apps out there. And with a smartphone, you can also use Bluetooth headphones so that your headphones, you can have background sounds if you want. Lots of different things you can use with that. Very good idea to have a timer that you learn to trust very quickly, so you're not thinking about how long you've been meditating while you're in the process of meditating, because that's a distraction you don't need. Once you get to the point you really trust your timer, then that will go away. A lot of people have problems getting distracted by sound. And if you do, it's pretty easy and not very expensive to get headphones that block out all sound. You can get noise canceling headphones. Earbuds are good, especially with a smartphone, because you can hear what's going on in your phone, but you won't hear anything else hardly at all. But sound dampening is a really good thing for people that really get distracted easily by external sounds. You want to also not be dependent on that. You're going to get to the point where any kind of external sounds, you will find they just float to the back of your mind and they don't really bother you anymore. But when you're first starting out, sounds can be really difficult for people. So get some headphones, noise canceling headphones, or just earmuffs of some kind that really block out sound. That'd be a good thing to do when you're first starting out. Sleep masks are a good way to block out all light, and they're very inexpensive and they're very comfortable. You can buy very, very simple ones that have foam cups around your eyes so that you don't have anything pressing against your lids. And if you have a problem with light, if that seems to distract you, light in your room, changing light, flashing lights, whatever, that kind of a thing, sleep masks absolutely block out all light. It's just pitch black behind your eyelids, and that's a pretty good tool to have. And I suggest, if that is a problem for you, if light is a problem for you, to get one of those. And again, I would also suggest don't get dependent on it, because you want to be able to meditate anywhere, anytime. So those are some good tips and tools. It's going over them pretty quickly. There's a lot more that I go into in my classes, but so let's go through a little bit of wrap up, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And so the question that I wanted to ask here for wrap up is meditation right for you? I hope everybody fully understands that meditation is absolutely right for you. There's very few people who meditation won't work for. You have to have some serious problems before meditation doesn't work for you. And by that time, you're probably on medication for other issues and everybody else. Meditation is a good thing for everybody. Pretty much everybody can benefit from meditation. So is meditation right for you? Yeah, I think it is. If you want to inquire about my practice, what it is that I teach, how I teach, and so forth, all my contact information is at the bottom of this slide. humanistmeditation.com is my website. Go there and you can read all about all the different classes that I have. That's my phone number, my business phone number. So you can call that number anytime to get information. And that's my email address at the very bottom. So if you want to know more about my practice, if you want to ask some questions about it, that's a good way to reach me. Any one of those three ways is a good way to do that. On my website, there is a book now tab. That's how you go schedule classes. And also you can see what my schedule of classes are. And most of my classes, I have 10 classes that I have scheduled for every week that are 2 hours long. And each 2 hours, believe me, trust me when I tell you that 2 hours goes by a lot faster than you think in my classes. They go by very fast. And I also have 2 1-hour classes, and then every weekday at 7 a.m. Phoenix time, I also do a 30-minute class. So those are all scheduled on my calendar. When you look on the Book Now feature, you can find out about everything that's scheduled. And the cost is, generally speaking, it's just $5 for every 30 minutes. That's how much it costs, which is that's really inexpensive for what you're getting. And again, I teach people the techniques and the tips and tools so that they can go off and practice on their own and significantly benefit their lives. It's kind of important. So I think it's a decent price for that. But I also have discount codes for people like Sana. People who are in education, they get a discount. You just have to reach out to me and my email address, and I can give you discount codes if you are either an educator or you are a first responder of any kind, either law enforcement or emergency medical people, and those kinds of people. They have a discount as well. And teachers, all teachers have discount.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you for taking us on this amazing journey of meditation, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. You really empowered us with these valuable tools and inspiration to cultivate, great, greater self-awareness, empathy, and resilience in our daily lives. We truly appreciate your contribution to the series and for your time. And although we're short on time, but I would like to invite the audience to share their thoughts or ask questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your digital hand if you have any question for Richard, or you can type in the chat. We have short time, but we're happy to take your, yes.
It looks like Sam has a question, I believe.
Sure. Go ahead, Sam.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Mamandar. Richard, I would like to thank you first for this session. It's really inspiring. I like it so much. That's one. Very quick, I have a question. It's a simple one, yet maybe it's a bit difficult in my situation. How would I encourage myself to find this 20 or 30 minutes you mentioned, to encourage myself to do and to implement meditation daily, especially with a very, very busy schedule? Thank you.
Yeah, this is actually a very good question, and a lot of people have that same question. One of the most important things that I would say is that meditation is self-care. It is something that you're doing for yourself that will benefit not only you personally, but also the way that you interact with the rest of the world. So it could benefit your job. It could benefit everything that you do could be significantly improved by regular practice of meditation. But again, the most important thing that I said before is make sure that you establish the habit of doing at least some meditation every day. So if you can't figure out how to fit in 20 to 30 minutes during a day, just do a minute, just even 1 minute, and make it a part of your day. Make it a regular part of your day so that it's integrated into every single day that you have. And when you have 20 to 30 minutes, go ahead and do that. How to encourage yourself? Again, it's recognizing that this is self-care. This is something you're doing for yourself. It's not a chore. This is a treat, and it's something that really helps you. So continually encourage yourself by remembering that, and build up your meditation practice until you get to the point where you find a way to do 20 to 30 minutes a day. But even on the days, let's say you're doing it regularly, 20 to 30 minutes a day. If you find a day where suddenly you find, there's no way I can do that today, do a minute. Even if you've been regularly doing 20 to 30 minutes a day, don't feel guilty about it. Do just 1 minute. That's probably the best answer I can give you there. All right. Somebody else have their hand raised?
Yes, we have Monica. Monica, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for all the presentation and the meditation. It was the first time that I was able to actually kind of meditate. My mind's a little bit easy to distract. I'm a beginner, so I will want to ask you what is the best way to build a consistent habit for somebody that's new and it's easily distracted, or it's easy to just stop doing it?
So very important. Good question again. So very important to remember while you're meditating, if you are getting distracted, to acknowledge those distractions with equanimity. But more important, and I think I neglected to say this, be kind to yourself. You're a human like everybody else. Everybody has distractions in their mind. It's normal. That's natural. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. And recognize that you're human, just like everybody else. So when you get distracted, and this is important, when you're meditating, how many times you're distracted is not relevant. The cumulative amount of time that you are actually focused on whatever it is you're meditating on is the only thing that's really important. So constantly remind yourself of that and be kind to yourself. Always, always, always be kind to yourself. That is extremely important. You're going to get distracted. Everybody does. Even I do. I've been doing this my whole adult life. I sometimes get distracted. And then I just let it go, just with equanimity and loving kindness, and then keep on going. So that's probably the best way to answer that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Do we have any other questions?
I think we are out of time, unfortunately. So we have to wrap up, although we cannot get enough of you, Richard. I think we need to do a second, second take at this. I want to share our social media accounts just so we have it in the background. All right, so unfortunately, we're about out of time, and this was an amazing presentation and meditation, Richard. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. But the conversation doesn't have to be over today. We can continue this online. You can email us at Center for EI, and you can check our next sessions coming up. We have once a month. And so for February, we'll be having a new session with a great presenter. I'm going to keep it as a surprise. You'll see it on our social media. So head to our social media platform for our next presenter. Thank you, Richard, for being here. Thank you, everyone. And I wish you all a peace and tranquility and equanimity. And see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.